Hey, I'm Blair Best. It's Thursday here on The Story, and tonight, one of the biggest industries in the Northwest is feeling the effects of melting snowpack in glaciers. Our final segment in our Environment Northwest series is coming up. Plus, a tiny home village for homeless people in Northeast Portland is finally powered up thanks to solar panels. Why those there say it's offering more than just comfort. But first, could the tangled mess of housing plans in Portland finally be smoothed out? Most city councilors think a new plan can do it, but there was a notable nay vote. And it's our big story tonight. Okay, the housing crisis is always a hot topic inside Portland City Hall. All kinds of different plans from all kinds of government entities, the city, the county, metro, the state, you get the idea. Here's a visual representation to help you better understand. And perhaps this helps you see why we are so far behind housing production goals. This month, Portland City Council approved a new strategy meant to streamline all of those plans. It's called the Unified Housing Strategy. Now, part of the plan is a focus less on a crisis response and more on long-term solutions like affordable housing. The resolution was created by Councilors Jamie Dunphy and Candace Avalos of District 1, that's East Portland. They say consolidating those plans into one will allow the city to be more effective. Councilor Avalos previously joined us on the show live, and here's part of what she had to say about her idea.
The city lacks a unified vision. We have these scattered efforts, siloed plans, but no real common theory of change. And so what I'm introducing with the Unified Housing Strategy is clarity. What is Portland's role? What is not our role? How do we move from crisis to housing stability? And this should help us lead where we should be leading, which is housing production.
On paper, here is what this strategy is meant to do. Align existing plans from homelessness to permitting to climate, consolidate work across departments, set clear and measurable goals, reflect equity, community input, and urgency, and coordinate housing supply with homelessness needs. Some of those seem a little vague, but it won't be up to council to iron out those wrinkles, at least at first. The resolution directs City Administrator Michael Jordan to come up with the details of the streamlined strategy and deliver that report to council by December 1st. Now, on Wednesday, Portland City Council voted to approve this plan in an 11-1 vote. Councilor Dan Ryan, who represents District 2 in North and Northeast Portland, was the only one to vote against it. And he joins me live in studio now. Councilor Ryan, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Blair. It's good to see you.
Okay, so let's back up. In May, you voted to move this unified housing strategy forward to the full council with the recommendation to approve it, yet this week you voted against it. So what changed?
Yeah, I've been a big proponent for home ownership to be a part of that unified plan. I think that it's really important that we always have that North Star. And we had conversations at the committee level, and we had testimony to that point by Habitat for Humanity, and I was expecting to see that in the final proposal, and it wasn't there. So I decided to be a dissent vote, so I could keep that on the table.
So do you agree with the bones of this unified housing strategy, though? I mean, are there too many plans with too many partners?
Yeah, I think it was wise to knit them together. I just wanted to make sure that we were really crisp and clear that it should always go from those that are on the streets all the way to those that are in home ownership. It's a continuum that needs to go all the way to that end point.
And let's talk about home ownership. How does that play into this plan, do you think?
I don't think we should give up on it. I think that it's really one of the things when I was doing work in equity work last decade, it was really important to see that if you really wanted to build generational wealth, having home ownership and having that mortgage, having that equity was a big part of building that wealth for your own family.
So let's talk about permitting, part of the Unified Housing Strategy. This resolution says Portland is seeing its lowest multifamily construction levels since 2011, with only 896 housing unit permits issued last year. We've reported many times on developers who say getting permits to build in Portland is not only difficult, but expensive. I mean, what needs to change in your eyes, and do you think the Unified Housing Strategy will help permitting?
What helped the most is Mayor Wilson brought this to council and we all passed it unanimously, which is to get rid of the system development fees, and that went over very well. We're already seeing some breaking of ground. What's really preventing that right now is there's some market conditions, but it's really Portland is not the investment that it used to be from those that invest from nationally. So they just haven't been knocking on our door like they used to. And so we have to continue to work on our conditions on the ground so that this investment in Portland will once again be an uptick. It's a supply issue. We are seeing rents go down in some cities that are comparable, like Austin, because they have a higher supply. So we have a low inventory, and we need to get that up.
I mean, a city analysis estimates that Portland must build about 6,000 units per year for the next 20 years to meet current needs. Do you think that's achievable?
I think you have to hope that it will be achievable, but it's connected to other priorities that the city's focusing on to see that. Again, we need to be a place where investors want to build.
Okay, let's talk about the mayor's plan to end unsheltered homelessness. He says he's going to do that by December. He gave an update to a council committee that you're a part of on how that's going this week. And we want to pull up some of what he said to remind viewers. Okay, the first goal he talked about was ending tent distribution, which he says is, quote, mostly complete. He also wants to open 1,500 new emergency overnight shelter beds by December 1st. By the end of this summer, the mayor says the city will have opened 630 of those beds at 6 different locations, plus 2 day centers. And he wants to reunite at least 14 homeless people with loved ones each week and remove nearly 100 problem RVs a month. But the big focus, at least right now, is on those shelter beds. So, Councilor Ryan, do you agree with his plan? And is the city on track to end unsheltered homelessness by December, or is that an unrealistic promise?
It's something that we must stay focused on. Portlanders overwhelmingly supported Mayor Wilson's plan to get these shelters up and running, and they wanted it to be urgent. And I also know that the county is a big part of this equation because they're on for 1,000. So I am fully supportive of doing something, and it's so important that we support the mayor to get something done. My concern about what some of the concerns brought up about exits, where do people go? Of course I have those. In fact, one stat that's really challenging to accept is that when the county puts 2 people into housing, 1 person is going back out on the streets. That's something we have to really look at. Why are we having that ratio with people going into housing? The mayor's unification plan is really exciting. It's something that I was shocked at the fact that we hadn't been doing this earlier, but the fact that we have 26% of those who are in Portland, newly homeless in Portland, came to Portland homeless. So they arrived in Portland homeless, 26%. Right after they get here is a time to really look at how to unify them with their families in other parts of the country. I love that we have a mayor that's so compassionate that they're focusing into that very relatable issue.
But this December 1st deadline, do you really think that that's achievable?
I think it will help if the city council supports the mayor and that we all act as one city and being a part of that one priority. Portlanders, he's the only person that was elected citywide, and there was a mandate to try to get this moving and to be successful. So I can support anyone that's willing to do something. You might remember in 21-22, I was in charge to build safe-rest villages, and I know what it's like to do something bold and audacious. And so, of course, I'm going to have the back of somebody that's an elected official that's doing something that's very challenging.
And you know firsthand what it's like to bring tiny home villages, like you mentioned, into neighborhoods. So how do you handle neighbors who just don't want these overnight shelters in their neighborhood?
You have to be really crisp and clear about the neighborhood agreements. I know when we were building the villages, we learned a lot about that during the process. So we had buffer zones. We made sure that the providers were complicit with keeping the area very clean. In fact, we have had something happen in North Portland where there was a lot of opposition to the Safe Rest Village opening in North Portland. And now that we're closing that for a Habitat for Humanity project, it was always the plan, there's actually people that are concerned, will the cleanliness continue to be what it is today? And will the Peninsula Crossing Trail continue to be clean for my kiddos to use that trail? So I'm proud of the fact that you can actually make the neighborhood better if in fact you unify and have services coordinated to not only take care of those inside the shelters, but also the area surrounding it.
So something else that caught my attention this week was learning that the mayor basically ended enforcement of the city's camping ban back in February. Do you think that was the right move?
He explained the move in a way that was easy to digest. He explained that he wanted to get the shelters up and running. He's a humanitarian, and he wanted to make sure that those that were being asked to not block a sidewalk, that were asked to be removed, would have a place to go. So we're improving in the fact that we can offer more places for people to go. The mayor, I think, wanted to have it at a certain number before he could put that back into the books.
Okay, before we let you go tonight,
Yeah.
we wanted to ask you about this. A block of 6 of your fellow city councilors who have a group chat where they call themselves Peacock, short for Progressive Caucus, and how they coordinate their votes in real time and use their 6-member influence to sort of affect policy direction at City Hall. This was reported by Willamette Week. A quote from you is included in one of the articles where you said, "Lately, I've been asking the Peacock Caucus, tell me, what is your North Star? Is Portland the testing site to eliminate capitalism for socialism?" Why do you feel that way, and what do you make of this Peacock group?
Was that in the article?
It was, yes.
Well, maybe that's me explaining to you that I do my best not to read certain articles or the comments section.
Okay.
Or the
Did you say that?
Oh yeah, I definitely said that. So I wasn't surprised, and I'm, moving on. But the quote that you just attributed to me, which is accurate, is a fair question. I think that I just want to pause for a moment. We're nonpartisan elected officials. I have always said that I ran to be a public servant and to serve anyone, no matter where they affiliate, no matter what their ideology is. Because when I talk to Portlanders, they're all concerned about the same things. Today we had a meeting about how to move forward with our committees. I said, can we take a pause and actually get on the same page about what our priorities are? And I'll just start with a few. Homelessness, obviously in housing. It's livability issues, it's public safety. It's all of those working much better than they are now so that we can start to see real economic development. So I think that no matter what your ideology is, I think Portlanders want us to focus on those priorities. And I think it's important for us to get rid of the national politics, even the Salem politics, and be public servants to the city of Portland. Because I'll tell you right now, in service to my city, I've noticed so many things. I remember the woman that I met 3 years ago in Old Town. She's elderly, and her doctor wants her to go on a walk every day in the neighborhood, like for about 30 minutes, and she doesn't feel safe to do that. And that hasn't changed. I've talked to parents who just want to go to the park with their kids, and when they get there, because it's inevitable, your child will need to use the restroom, they want it to be clean and they want it to be open. When someone has to call 911, no one wants to. They want someone to pick up, and they want the service, they want the service to provide as soon as possible.
But
The first responders need to show up as soon as possible. That's what they want us to focus on.
But I'm sure this council feels different, right? You were on the previous council. How does this compare, if at all, to how commissioners used to communicate in the city's old form of government? I mean, were they texting each other during meetings to coordinate votes and strategize?
Because there was the mayor and then 4 of us, so we were so in our faces. We were always in the same meetings all the time, and so I think the communication was different because of that. Now that you have 12, it's obviously a number that might suggest caucusing. I wish that wasn't happening. I think that the caucus that you get from the party systems, both in the state and the federal structure, don't merit themselves here locally. Some of the national issues and even the state issues don't land when this is about the basics. This is about infrastructure, public safety, economic development. Our city needs us to focus at this time.
Okay, Councilor Dan Ryan, thanks for coming on the show.
You're so welcome.
All right, now it's your turn to weigh in. What is going through your mind after hearing from Councilor Dan Ryan? Let us know. Email us, thestory@kgw.com, or call and leave us a voicemail, 503-226-5090. Well, coming up next on The Story, the final installment of our Glaciers on Thin Ice series. We'll take you to Eastern Washington to show you how the fast-paced melting is affecting agriculture in a way that's been getting worse year after year. That's next when The Story returns. It's something we often take for granted, electricity. Well, a self-described homeless encampment in Northeast Portland now has it for the first time, thanks to solar panels funded by the City of Portland's Clean Energy Fund. I went to the village this week to see the upgrade firsthand. This week, and for the first time ever, the power was turned on inside these tiny homes for homeless people in Northeast Portland.
Now being able to come home from a long day at work and just flip on a light switch, it is just an unbelievable feeling.
Dignity Village off Northeast Sunderland Avenue is the city's first and only village run by the homeless people who stay there, like Lisa Larson, who's lived there for the past 14 years.
It's just a really unique place to live. And I've been part of the governance here for almost the whole time we've lived here.
The village has been around for 25 years and provides shelter for roughly 60 people each night. Requirements to live there include a $100 monthly fee and 10 hours a week of maintenance work. The village is also self-governed, with members elected to serve on a village council. And they have a contract with the City of Portland to use the property. No city money has gone towards running the site until now.
We support climate solutions that center the people most impacted by climate change. So this is a great example of that.
$190,000 from the Portland Clean Energy Community Benefits Fund went toward installing solar panels at the village. PSEF, as it's called, is the voter-approved fund meant for projects that reduce carbon emissions. The money comes from a 1% surcharge on large retail corporations in the Rose City. Here's one of the women behind the project.
What we really wanted to do was to increase the quality of life of the villagers in Dignity Village by giving everyone access to electricity in their homes. So we were able to take the electricity from the single pole at the site and distribute it to all of the tiny homes that you see.
Each tiny home now has an outlet, light bulb, and a smoke detector. In the past, villagers have relied on propane tanks for heat, which comes with risks.
All of these structures are built out of wood, so there have been incidences of fire or propane leaks in the homes.
Being able to have a fan, or even some of the people using air conditioners, it's really helping a lot of people's health and their mental well-being, because being in too hot of a place, of course, you're going to just kind of lose your mind.
For Lisa, the solar panels are more than just comfort.
Now being that we've got the solar and we're just kind of coming up in the world, and so yeah, we're building more dignity for ourselves and our fellow villagers.
And it's not just the homeless village benefiting from these panels. In the field across the street, more panels provide power to over 100 low-income families in the area. Combined, both solar projects cost $4.2 million. That's according to PSEF staff.
We believe climate change is not only like an environmental issue, is also an economic issue. So we have this project. Through this project, we are reducing pollution through clean energy, and also we're helping people by lowering their energy bills. It's a huge change of lifestyle. We all take energy for granted.
The next project like this one is scheduled to start next year near the Expo Center in North Portland. Solar panels installed there will help 200 low-income families reduce their electric bills. Drought conditions are worsening across the Pacific Northwest summer after summer, due in large part to mountain snowpack and glaciers melting at a record rate. All this week, our Environment Northwest team has explored the glacial issue across the region. Tonight, Cody Proctor is in eastern Washington, where the dwindling water supply is affecting one of the Northwest's biggest industries.
Right behind me is just a small portion of the cows here at J&K Dairy just outside of Sunnyside. We're visiting on one of the hottest days of the summer so far. And even with temperatures like this, they're making sure their cows are staying as cool as possible, even when water is so precious.
The noise is constant at J&K Dairy, from fans to water soakers, trying to beat the summer heat isn't easy. With 3,000 dairy cows and 2,000 acres for growing crops like corn and wine grapes, that job gets harder for farmer Jason Sheehan when water's scarce.
Right now, the biggest issue we're dealing with is the irrigation water.
Sheehan's part of the Rosa Irrigation District in the Yakima Valley, where he serves as a board director. They're right in the middle of their third drought in a row.
In a drought like this year, we're actually getting 42% of our water. So less than half of what we're supposed to get.
The Rosa Irrigation District relies heavily on the snowpack in the mountains, but this year, those crucial winter accumulations just aren't there. What started off as a promising year quickly melted faster than expected. The dry spring led to Washington state officials declaring a drought emergency in several counties. The snowpack isn't the only thing melting faster than expected, something University of Idaho glaciologist Tim Bartholomew knows all too well.
The glaciers in the Northwest is sort of similar to the condition of glaciers across the Earth, and that's generally that the glaciers are melting more than they're gaining.
He says glaciers across the Northwest are losing an average of 2 feet of ice every year. He points to climate change and the warmer temperatures that come with it for the faster melt.
The temperatures are warmer in the summer than they used to be, and that melts the glaciers a little bit faster. In the exact same way, the snowpack also melts a little bit faster come the spring.
It's also why we're seeing less mountain snow in the first place.
So in the last 70 years or so, we've seen, in a lot of places, we still have snow. We still get snowstorms, but the snow that makes it to spring is now less than it used to be.
When you have one drought or maybe two droughts, you can kind of get through things, but the third year you start to really stress crops.
With less water, Sheehan's not growing anything on about a third of his land.
Which is a cost because then we've got to buy feed for the cows.
The farm does have its own water cycle to get as much as they can out of each drop. One cycle starts with using water to cool the milk. It's then used to water the cows, cool them off with the soakers, and to flush the barn alleys of waste.
That water is never used just once, it's always captured. And once all that water is captured in our lagoons, we use it to fertilize our fields.
But the future remains uncertain, with concerns about next year already sprouting.
Because the reservoirs now are at some of the lowest levels and they've got to refill. And if you don't get the reservoirs to start refilling, we're going to be in another drought next year.
For Environment Northwest, I'm Cody Proctor.
If you missed parts 1, 2, or 3 of our Environment Northwest series this week, we have a Glaciers on Thin Ice special featuring all the segments over on our streaming app, KGW+. It will air tonight at 8 o'clock, and you can download the app for free right now on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. We're back right after this. Well, that is the end of our show, folks. Thanks so much for watching. The good stuff is coming your way next. And don't forget, everyone has a story to tell. In the meantime, have a great Thursday night. I'll see you right back here tomorrow night at 6:30.